Ransomware attacks coming to an industrial control system near you. I'm Tonya Hall, and joining me is Andy Greenberg, author and senior cybersecurity writer at Wired. Welcome, Andy.
Glad to be here again.
Absolutely. Give us a brief summary of your professional background and the type of work that you do.
I'm a cybersecurity writer, and I've covered this beat for about 12 years and written for Forbes magazine, and now I write for Wired.
What is an industrial control system, and where do we find them?
Industrial control systems are a very particular kind of software that's used in industry, meaning power grids, water treatment facilities, manufacturing, oil refineries. And what's special about this software is that it is, bits. It's something digital that's used to control something physical. This is kind of the connection point between physical equipment and digital software. So it's very important to the kind of infrastructure of the world because these are the tools that we use, and sometimes in an automated way or sometimes in a kind of digital but manual way to control the machinery of kind of human civilization these days.
You recently wrote about a malware sample that seems specifically designed to target industrial control systems. What makes this recent find stand out to you?
We've really only seen in the whole history of malware a few samples that have directly interacted with industrial control systems. Stuxnet, of course, was the first and still the most advanced we've ever seen that was able to speed up and destroy centrifuges, and was used to destroy centrifuges in an Iranian nuclear enrichment facility. We've seen Crash Override or Indestroyer, this Russian tool that was used to cause a blackout in Kiev in 2016 that could send commands directly to circuit breakers. But recently we've seen this very different sort of ICS malware, far cruder, but still very worrying, called ECANS or Snake. ECANS is snake backwards. And this was a piece of ransomware. But it was different than most ransomware in that before it encrypts your machine and holds it ransom, tries to extort you for some amount of money, it had a list of processes that it kills so that the underlying data is essentially freed up and can be encrypted. And those processes included lots of industrial control system processes, which suggests that ECANS is actually ransomware that is being targeted at these industrial control systems, so that whose victims include at least these kinds of industrial systems. And that's scary because it implies that probably cyber criminals, and not just these very sophisticated intelligence agencies, are now targeting and disrupting systems that could include things like power grids or manufacturing or oil refineries, the kinds of systems where there can be physical consequences if service is disrupted.
What makes criminally motivated attacks more dangerous than politically motivated attacks?
Well, it's not really I would say it's not really the sophistication of them. They're actually probably far cruder, but it's more likely the scale of them. For the most part, with a few exceptions, state-sponsored hackers are very targeted in what they do, and they are politically motivated. They choose their targets. They, often have a kind of very like a geopolitical adversary, whereas cyber criminal hackers are simply after profit. They often have more victims. They will do their attack again and again as long as they're making money. And if that starts to spread to these critical infrastructure targets, then that could have very serious consequences. I mean, we're talking about things like disruption of manufacturing, disruption of oil refinery equipment, where there could be actual physical accidents that result harm to human staff. There could be attacks on power grids even. If these kinds of attacks, if these kind of for-profit attacks were to spread to critical infrastructure, then the consequences could be unpredictable and pretty scary. In fact, it's not just this, this ECANS sample that shows that ransomware is now targeting industrial control systems. CISA, CISA, the DHS arm, just recently warned that an oil refinery, a natural gas compression utility, was hit with ransomware on its industrial control systems, part of the network. and in fact that it had to cease operations for 2 days to remediate. So that's a sign that this is really happening. That big physical systems, the kind of backbone of society that we rarely think about, it is being hit with ransomware as we speak.
Andy Greenberg, senior cybersecurity writer at Wired and author of Sandworm, A New Era of Cyber War and the Hunt for Kremlin's Most Dangerous Hackers. Where can people find you, and how can they find your latest book, Sandworm?
Well, my Twitter handle is _Greenberg, and my website is andygreenberg.net.
Thanks again for joining us, Andy.
Thanks, Tonya.
Find more, absolutely. And find more of my interviews right here or at tonyahall.net. Thanks for watching.